Women in Iran, before and after the Islamic Revolution. From 1941 to 1979, Iran was ruled by Reza Shah Pahlavi. He was Marjan's maternal great-grandfather. He wanted westernization and modernization and saw the veil as regressive. He had instituted women's movements, but they were not genuine or significant. He made the veil illegal, made divorce slightly easier for women and polygamy slightly harder for men, but not by much. He also legalized abortion, and he gave women the right to vote, but it was overturned in 1962 by the ulama, or the religious intellectual class. His pro-women stance wasn't genuine. It was really only to gain the country's support. For example, he wanted state-controlled women's groups so as to prevent the spread of feminism. There was a growing dissatisfaction with his rules in Iran, and more people began to side with the religious fundamentalists. As a result, Ayatollah Khomeini came to power on April 1st in 1979. He was the leader of the fundamentalist religious side. The photo shows Reza Shah and his family, and Marjan's great-grandfather is at the top right. Before the revolution, women dressed very significantly differently from as they did after the revolution. The first photo shows Empress Soraya of Persia, the second wife of Reza Shah Pahlavi. It shows wealth and decadence, but also the influence of Western dress. The dress shows lots of her body, and it's very form-fitting. The second photo shows the difference of how women dress after the revolution. Even still, between the fundamentalist woman and the modern woman, there aren't many differences. And no one would think of dressing how Empress Soraya of Persia did after the Islamic Revolution. Women played a large role during the revolution. However, Khomeini had strange views on women. He believed that gender equality was a Western plot of corruption and blamed Iran's slipping values on the West. However, many women did support the revolution. They didn't want to be conformed to a Western ideal woman. They wanted to make their own Iranian woman identity. They were supporting the anti-Shah movement rather than the Islamic Republic movement. Khomeini instituted a reveiling policy and overturned the law that Reza Shah made that made veiling illegal. Many women reveiled as a social statement, and it was the choice to reveil that was empowering to them. In Iran, they wore the chador, which covers the hair, head, and neck. It was a symbol of decency, honor, and anti-Western values. However, for the Khomeini regime, reveiling was a way to assert power. It almost became a national obsession, and many women were divided over it, as is seen in the novel. In 1979, an Italian journalist, Oriana Fallaci, interviewed Khomeini. He stated, "The women who contributed to the revolution were, and are, women in Islamic dress, not elegant women, made up all like you, who go around all uncovered, dragging behind them a tail of men. The coquettes who put on makeup and go into the street showing off their necks, their hair, their shapes, did not fight against the Shah. They never did anything good, not those. They do not know how to be useful, neither socially, nor politically, nor professionally." While Khomeini seemed to have supported women's rights, he really only did if they were aligned to the Islamic regime's views. He even outright states to this Western journalist, Oriana Fallaci, that women like her are not valued or useful in Iranian society. After the revolution, not much really changed in regards to laws regarding women. They stayed mostly the same as they did when Reza Shah was in power. They were the same as the Sharia law that had been influencing Iranian laws for the history of the country. Marriage, polygamy, and birth control laws essentially stayed the same. However, women were allowed to work and attend university. Most women chose to get married and have children as was expected to them in society. But some women did go to universities, as Marjan did in the novel. However, they were still separated by sexes and were subject to a strict dress code. The appeal of the Islamic regime was that the Islamic Republic reasserts the distinctiveness of male and female roles, while the Shah's regime had sought to ignore them. It didn't mask its rules and modernity like the Shah's regime. It's not to say that the Islamic Republic's laws were perfect. It was far from it. And we see this when people like Marjan were opposing it. The first photo shows women in 1979 trying to catch a glimpse of Ayatollah Khomeini, and this photo below shows a scene of Marjan in college after running to catch a bus. It shows how problematic the regime was in regards to women's dress. The video shows 100 Years of Beauty in Iran from the 1910s to 2010s. We see a strong contrast, especially between the 1970s and the 1980s, which was before and after the Islamic Revolution. In the 1970s, we see a westernized woman with heavy makeup and a fancy hairstyle. In the 1980s, we see a covered and modest woman who looks plain in order not to draw attention to herself. The contrast is strong between each of these 2 years. In conclusion, the Islamic Republic was appealing to women who wanted an Iranian traditional identity, but they were still subject to the restrictions of a patriarchal and religious government.